And welcome into Tuesday for August 13th. Thomas Miller on Fun Astrology. So, you know, one of the things that I love about astrology is it helps us understand why no 2 days are the same. And boy, do we have that going on today. Because just like yesterday looked so great, today, we've got some problems today. So a couple of things one thing that I didn't talk about over the weekend because I was really focused on Jupiter going direct, but Uranus has gone retrograde. It actually started on Sunday. I wanted Jupiter to have the main spotlight of that event, and just because I'm excited about it, but we have to talk about Uranus going retrograde. That, of course, is where it appears to be going backwards in the sky. It's the same thing that Mercury does 3 times a year. The outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, they do it once a year. Now, basically, you can think of Uranus as the planet of change, of disruption, of change for the sake of change. As I've said, it's the weird-ass planet. It can also represent the breaking of chains, freedom, shake-ups, disruptions, just shaking it up, changing it up for the sake of changing it up. Now, Uranus is in Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So Taurus is an earth sign, but it also governs things like finances. So one of the predictions that people were talking about back late last year, before Uranus moved into Taurus, it was still in Aries, were financial shakeups, questions about financial shakeups and disruptions. Now, I have to tell you that in my observation of astrology, most of the time I look at the chart and then I also feel the chart. And it's just how it's how I process it. So one of the things when I was looking ahead at this and saw that Uranus was going to be going retrograde, do you remember Scooby-Doo? The cartoon Scooby-Doo? See, this is dating myself. But Scooby-Doo would always say, ruh-roh. Falling down the stairs there. But that's kind of what I thought when I saw Uranus getting ready to go retrograde. It's going to retrace the 6 degrees that it has moved into Taurus, and it's going to dip a couple of degrees into Aries before it stations direct, get this, on January 10th, 2020, which is the same day that Saturn will be conjunct Pluto. Ow! Well, that depends on how you look at it. First of all, if we've been doing the transformational work and not resisting that work, then Saturn-Pluto has actually been working to our favor. However, Uranus is a wild card. See, when you get off on the wrong side of Saturn, when it becomes a wrecking ball, or Pluto, it's for the purpose of transformation, or it's working out karma. There's some reason for it, and it's leading in a destination. Now, Uranus, I think still, obviously all of this is about our soul growth, right? But I think Uranus is the one wild card out there that just weird, and I don't want to put an E by this episode, but weird happens around Uranus, right? It's like that's the one that you just can't bank on. Mercury, you know, it'll screw up your little computer or your phone, and you might not want to buy electronics during retrograde, and sometimes communication gets a little garbled and misunderstandings and stuff like that. But that's Mercury, right? You can just laugh it off. Uranus, you don't know where it's going to hit you or how. Now, at least we have a little bit of the color that we can determine because it is in Taurus right now, so those things that I just mentioned. And it will dip back into Aries long enough for us to clean up any Taurus and Aries issues that we didn't get resolved. We'll talk about those when it happens later on this year. But right now, just realize that Uranus is on the move backwards. So we're going to get some take-twos around those areas governed by Aries and Taurus. And or Uranus could just shake up wherever it decides to in the chart. Now, there's one other pattern in today's chart that is of note. It's minor, but this is one of those little things that I just wanted to bring to attention. The reason it's minor is because it involves two really fast movers. But around 1:30 Eastern time today, and this really only lasts for about an hour. So this is going to be 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Eastern. Let's put it that way. Around 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Eastern, you're going to have a grand cross or a grand square. The reason it doesn't last long is because it involves the ascendant at 2 degrees Scorpio, the moon, which will be at 2 degrees Aquarius, Uranus, which is at 6 degrees Taurus, we were just talking about that, and Mercury at 2 degrees in Leo. Now, the reason, some people would even say that's marginal because 4 degrees off, Uranus being 4 degrees off of the others at 2 degrees, would be, some people might say, well, that's a little far. And I get it. Okay. I'm just pointing out that there could be this really challenging pattern of these 4 squared angles in the chart. So when you think of a grand cross or a grand square, 4 planets at 90 degrees from each other, that's a really challenging energetic focus of those 4 energies. And you could feel it build. So I would say that this would affect the morning more than the afternoon, and it could just make for some wonkiness up around lunchtime. And it could pass completely unnoticed. For those who are born between 1 and 2 Eastern today, it could have a challenging aspect in their chart because of the position of the ascendant to the moon, to Uranus, to Mercury. For us, it could play out in the areas, the houses, where those transits are on our chart. I don't go into that a lot because obviously we can't look at everybody's transit charts. But if you overlaid today's chart over your natal chart, that's what we're talking about, and where those 4 corners are, where those 4 squares lie on your chart are where some hot spots might be today as well. So I just wanted to point that out. That's one of those subtle energies that you could feel, but you might not as well. So the one thing, though, that I did want to point out for today is just the awareness that between now and January, Uranus is unleashed and on the loose. You know, the other cartoon that I should look up is the Tasmanian Devil. You remember that?